Hello, dear learners, I am Dr. Uma Singh from University of Delhi and I would be discussing the chapter on trial balance and accounting errors. You are already aware in the previous chapter how to prepare journal, the subdivision and the ledger posting. So, in this chapter we shall learn about the next step of summarizing the accounts, that is to deal with trial balance. So, this chapter will contain the meaning and the objectives of trial balance, the causes of disagreements of the trial balance, then the preparation of the trial balance. There are lot many errors that might occur while preparing the trial balance. So, the errors disclosed and not disclosed by the trial balance, and then the suspense account. So, now we can begin this chapter which talks about trial balance and the accounting entries. Now, the meaning of the trial balance. A statement which shows the balances of all ledger accounts is called as a trial balance. It is a statement or a schedule listing in separate columns the debit and credit balances of all ledger accounts on a particular date. The ledger accounts which have a debit balance are shown in the debit column, and if they have a credit balance, then the same is shown in the credit column of the trial balance. The main purpose or the objectives of preparing a trial balance are to check the arithmetical accuracy. So, with the help of a trial balance, we can identify the arithmetical errors that are committed by the accountant, and these errors can be rectified at a later stage. Second is to prepare the final accounts of the enterprise. The final accounts of the enterprise cannot be prepared until and unless we have prepared the trial balance. The third is the comparative study of each account. Trial balance helps in comparing the present balance of an account with the previous period account balances. Through this, we can estimate whether closing balance of accounts will increase or decrease within the two accounting periods. And last objective is to make the financial budget. Previous years trial balance figures are also helpful to estimate the future amount. This enables to make different financial budgets. So, what are the causes of such disagreement in a trial balance are these. The first is omission of posting in one account. If a transaction is posted in one account and is omitted in the other concerned, it is bound to affect the trial balance, and in such case the debit side and the credit side of the trial balance will not agree. Second disagreement may arise because of double posting in one account. If by mistake an entry is posted 2 times to the debit or to the credit of an account, it would result in extra debit or credit, and as such it may cause a disagreement in the trial balance. The third disagreement may arise because of posting in the wrong side of the account. So, when an entry is posted in the wrong side of an account, that is, instead of debit side it is posted in the credit side or vice versa, it would also cause disagreement in the trial balance. Fourth is posting wrong amount in an account. If you post an entry to the correct side of an account, but commit an error in writing the amount, this will again affect the trial balance. The next cause can be because of wrong casting of the subsidiary books. If any subsidiary book is overcast or undercast, it affects the concerned account in the ledger. Suppose the correct total sales journal is 5600 rupees, but it has been totaled as rupees 5300. So, when now posted to the credit of sales account, the sales account will be short by rupees 300, and again the trial balance will not tally. So, this is a case of undercasting. Next disagreement may arise because of omitting to post the total of a subsidiary book. So, if the total of the subsidiary book is not posted to the concerned account, it would again affect the trial balance. The next is wrong totaling or balancing of an account. When an account is wrongly totaled or wrongly balanced, then this again would affect the trial balance. The next cause of disagreement can be because of omission of an account from the trial balance. So, when an account balance is completely omitted or forgotten to be written in the trial balance, it will not tally. Many a times cash book balances are often omitted from the trial balance. The next cause of disagreement is writing the balance of an account in the wrong column of the trial balance. So, if the balance of an account which is to be shown in the debit column of the trial balance is actually shown in the credit column, so this will again result in the trial balance not tallying. And last cause may be because of wrong totaling of the trial balance. So, if the trial balance itself is totaled wrongly, then again it will result in the disagreement in the debit and the credit side. So, again be absolutely sure and check twice when you do the totaling of the trial balance. Now, the agreement of the trial balance is not a conclusive proof of the accuracy of the accounts. So, there can still be errors which creep in while preparing the accounts, and they do not affect the agreement of the trial balance. As the name suggests, these errors involve complete omission of the transaction from the books of accounts. So, such an omission will not affect the agreement of the trial balance. Then the error of commission. These types of errors happen due to the negligence of the accountants and cannot be located easily. For example, a sale of 10,000 is entered as rupees 100. This balances both the accounts, that is the sales account and the cash account, and thus again will not be revealed by the trial balance. The third type of error which may not be disclosed easily by the trial balance is the compensating error. An error which takes place in a manner that it compensates for another error are called as compensating error. So, the error are conducted in such a manner that the error compensates for the other error. So, as such again it will not be reflected in your trial balance. For example, an accountant posted 500 less in the debit side of a purchase account, and at the same time he also posted 500 less in the credit side of the sales account. Then the next error is the error of principles. So, when an accounting principle has been violated while recording a transaction in the books of accounts, such errors are called as errors of principle. For example, the purchase of an asset, if recorded in the purchases account, will be an error of principle, but since the purchase account will be debited and the supplier's account will be credited, the same amount will not get reflected in the trial balance and it will not affect the balancing of the trial balance. Now, when the trial balance does not tally, it indicates that certain errors have been committed. So, there are errors which are disclosed by the trial balance. So, these errors can include the following types. The first is wrong casting. If the total of the cash book or some other subsidiary book is casted wrong, the trial balance will not tally. For example, the total of the purchase book has been casted rupees 2000 more. When this total will be posted to the debit side of the purchase account, it will also show an excess debit of 2000, and therefore, the trial balance will not agree. Second error could be posting to the wrong side of an account. So, instead of posting an amount on the debit side of an account, it is posted on the credit side, or vice versa, the trial balance will not tally. Third can be posting of wrong amount. So, again the trial balance will not tally if the posting in an account is made with an incorrect amount. Then the next error can be omission of posting of one aspect of a transaction. So, for example, if 500 has been received from Shyam and is correctly entered in the cash book, but if it is omitted to be posted on the credit side of the Shyam's account, the trial balance will not tally, because you have entered only one part of the transaction. Then the next error which might occur is posting an amount twice in an account. So, for example, rupees 500 has been received from Vinod and is correctly entered in the cash book, but if it is posted twice on the credit side of Vinod's account, the trial balance will not tally. Then the next error can be the error of totaling and balancing of accounts in the ledger. So, the error may occur in the totaling of debit or credit side of the trial balance if the ledger accounts have not been properly balanced, and as a result it becomes an error which is again reflected in the trial balance. So, I hope the errors which are disclosed and not disclosed by the trial balance must have been clear to you. So, now since we know that errors have crept in or have made a disagreement in the trial balance, so the next thing that we need to discuss is now the process of locating these errors. Now, the following steps are to be followed to locate the error. So, the first step is check the total of the trial balance, that should tally. Your debit total should be equal to the credit total. Second is compare the ledger account balances carried to the trial balance. Third is verify the total of the subsidiary books and their posting to the ledger accounts. Fourth is verify that all ledger entries have been correctly posted. Fifth is, if in the trial balance the debits are not equal to the credits, it indicates that some errors have been committed during the course of the accounting process. So, these errors have to be located. So, the process of locating the errors will now involve, the first is to simply add the debit and the credit columns again to verify your totals. If they still do not agree, then subtract the smaller total from the bigger sum and look for the missing amount in the smaller column. If you found it, you found your error. The second technique is to locate the error is to see if the numeral 2 divides equally the difference. If it does, look for an account incorrectly in the column with the larger total that equals half the difference. If you have found this, then again you found your error that can be rectified. Another technique is to use the numeral 9 to find a transposition error. If the numeral 9 divides evenly the difference between the credit and the debit, you have a transposition error. So, go back over your credit and debit entries and try to find your transposition error. So, this involves the process of locating the error. Now, balancing the trial balance. After recording all the financial transaction in the subsidiary books and journal proper, the same are to be posted in the ledger. The ledger accounts are then balanced, and the balances of these ledger accounts are then transferred to the relevant column of the trial balance to verify that the debits and the credits are equal. So, these are the steps to be followed for the purpose of preparing and balancing the trial balance. Now, this is how a trial balance format looks like. The first thing that you write while preparing the trial balance is the name of the firm. So, trial balance of so and so company. As on, then you mention the date as on which the trial balance is prepared, and the trial balance has 3 columns as you can see in the format. The first column lists down the names of the account, second column has all the debit balances, and the third column is for all the credit balances, and the debit balance should tally the credit balance in the trial balance. Now, we shall take a question to understand it better, that how the trial balance is prepared. So, we have the following transactions which take place in the month of June for the year 2016. So, we have these transactions. First, as on June 1st, commission received for an amount of 10,000 rupees. On 2nd June, rent paid to an amount of 5,000 rupees. Then June 5th, interest received to an amount of 6,000 rupees, and June 7th, brokerage paid for an amount of 2,000 rupees. So, these 4 transactions have taken place in the month of June. So, we need to journalize these transactions first, then post them into the ledger, balance these accounts, and then finally prepare a trial balance. So, first is we shall learn about the preparation of the journal, and we will write all the transactions that have taken place according to the chronological order, that is date wise. First is we receive a commission for 10,000 rupees. So, our journal entry shall be debit what comes in. So, cash account debited and credit all incomes and gains. So, we have given a credit to commission received. So, our entry becomes cash account debited to commission received account, and in the debit amount and the credit amount we write the amount received, that is to an extent of 10,000 rupees. Second entry is rent paid. So, debit all expenses and losses, and rent being an expense. So, we give a debit to the rent account. So, rent account debited and credit what goes out. Since cash is going out, we have paid rent. So, we give a credit to the cash account, and our entry becomes rent account debited to cash account. Again, in the debit and the credit column, we write the rent paid amount for rupees 5,000. The third entry was the interest received for an amount of 6,000 rupees. So, again we will make the journal entry as cash account debited, again credit all incomes and gains. So, interest received being an income, so it is credited. So, our journal entry becomes cash account debited to interest received account for an amount of 6,000, both in the debit and the credit amount. And the last transaction was the brokerage paid. So, brokerage account debit. So, debit all expenses and losses, and brokerage being an expense, it is debited and credit what goes out. So, again brokerage account debited to cash account to an extent of rupees 2,000 in both the debit and the credit column. The next step that follows is to post these journal entries into the ledger. So, we will open in the ledger all the 5 accounts, all the accounts that we have mentioned in the ledger: cash account, rent account, commission received account, interest received account and brokerage account, and we will do the ledger posting for them. So, first is the commission received account. So, our entry was cash account debited to commission received account. So, in the commission received account, we credited it in the journal. So, we will credit in the ledger account also, but the reference has to be made of the other account. So, on June 1st, we shall write in the particulars column by cash 10,000 rupees. Then we move forward and we prepare the next account, that is rent account. So, rent account, we paid rent. So, rent account debited to cash account. So, the entry would be rent account is debited. So, we will make the rent account debit, but again the reference being made of the other account. So, to cash account, and to is mentioned whenever we make the entry in the debit column. So, to cash account for an amount of 5,000 rupees. Then interest received account. So, our journal entry was cash account debited to interest received account. So, in the journal also we gave a credit to the interest received account. So, on the credit side of the ledger account of interest received account, we shall write by cash account for 6,000 rupees. Next we move on to the next ledger posting, which is of brokerage account. So, brokerage received. So, brokerage account debited to cash account. So, again to cash account 2,000 rupees, and then we prepare the cash account by debiting and crediting all the journal entries that we have posted in the journal. So, on the debit side, to commission, to interest received. So, these are the cash that we received in the form of commission and interest. So, we have given a debit in the cash account. Similarly, these were the amounts that we have paid. So, by rent 5,000 rupees and by brokerage 2,000 rupees. So, our second step for the preparation of trial balance was ledger posting. So, once the ledger posting is complete, then we move on to balancing the account. So, we have to balance all these 5 accounts, and then we will transfer these balances to the trial balance. Now, coming again to the first account, the first was commission received account, and we had written in the credit column 10,000 rupees. So, we write 10,000 rupees, whichever side is greater, we write 10,000, like in this case 10,000 is greater on the credit side. So, we write 10,000 rupees on both the sides and we put a double line beneath it, and on the debit side we write to balance carried down 10,000 rupees, and this is prepared at the end of the month. So, although the entry took place on 1st June, we will balance the account on 30th June and we shall write to balance carried down 10,000 rupees. The same balance shall be transferred now on the first day to the next month by balance brought down 10,000 rupees. Similarly, we move on to the next account and we balance the rent account. Rent account had a debit balance of 5,000. So, 5,000 we write on both the debit and the credit side, and we put double lines on this, and then on the credit side it becomes by balance carried down 5,000 rupees. This is again balanced on June 30th and the same gets transferred on July 1st to balance brought down, that is from the previous month we are transferring the balance to the next month as 5,000 rupees. The third account was interest received account and we had by cash 6,000 rupees. So, again the same pattern we follow and we have the carried down balance of 6,000 rupees on June 30th, which becomes the opening balance on 1st July for the next month to an extent of 6,000. Then we have the brokerage account and the same methodology is followed for the purpose of balancing the account, and on June 30th we have the balance of 2000, which again gets transferred on 1st July 2000 rupees. The last ledger posting was for cash account and we had made the following entries into it. So, to commission, to interest received 6000, by rent 5000 and by brokerage 2000 rupees. So, first we check the totals. The total on the debit side was greater than the total on the credit side. So, we put the balancing figure. So, 16,000 minus 7,000 gives us 9,000 rupees. So, that becomes the balance carried down, which is calculated at the end of the month, that is on 30th June, 9,000 rupees, and we close the account for this month by putting double lines and we transfer the balance to the first day of the next month. So, as on July 1st, to balance brought down 9,000 rupees. So, this was about the second step to the process of making the trial balance, that is ledger posting and the balancing of account. Next, we prepare the trial balance. So, we prepare the trial balance as on 30th June 2016 and whatever balances our 5 accounts showed, we transfer them accordingly in the debit side and the credit side. So, rent account had a debit balance of 5,000 rupees, brokerage account had a debit balance of 2,000 rupees, cash account had a debit balance of 9,000 rupees. So, whichever side is greater in the ledger account, we read the balance from that particular side. Similarly, in commission account, we have a credit balance of 10,000 rupees and then finally, interest received account, on the credit side, we have a balance of 6,000 rupees. So, the next step is that of now summing them up and checking their totals, and we see that our debit balance and the credit balance are both at 16,000, indicating that we have prepared the trial balance correctly. Next, we move on to the limitations of the trial balance. So, a trial balance can have several limitations. Some of them are, first is there can be certain errors not disclosed by the trial balance. Therefore, the agreement of a trial balance is not a conclusive proof of the accuracy of the accounts. Then second is trial balance gives only condensed information of the account. Third is it does not give the information about the profit or loss made by the business in the accounting period. Fourth is if the trial balance is not prepared accurately, the final accounts prepared from the trial balance will not be reliable. Fifth is it does not ensure that all the transactions have been actually recorded in the subsidiary books. Next limitation is it is prepared only by those enterprises which make use of the double entry system. So, these can be some of the limitations of a trial balance. Next, we move to discuss about the suspense account. Now, when the trial balance does not agree because of any type of error, then to prepare the final accounts, the difference is written in a special account which is called as a suspense account. The errors that affect the trial balance are rectified through the suspense account, and once all such errors are rectified, the suspense account opened to artificially balance the trial balance will finally be balanced. So, this is all that you have to learn in this chapter on trial balance and the accounting errors. I hope the trial balance chapter is useful to you and you would have followed that what are the steps to be taken for the preparation of trial balance and what are the different kinds of errors that can creep in while preparing the trial balance and the preparation of the suspense account. Thank you so much.